welcome to you all. Hello to you in Arizona from me in the United Kingdom, and it's really great to be here. Here is the Penstar of the show today, and yeah, pun intended. And we're going to have a good look at this. And this is your live stream, of course, so fire in and ask any questions at all. We're also going to talk about those Kindles, of course, because why wouldn't we? That's the big sort of release right now, is the new Kindles, and I'm going to talk about your thoughts about those as well. I have been daily driving the Penstar for the last week or so now. Well, actually, I'm getting towards the end of the first week of daily driving it. That's the way I review devices. I always make sure that I use it for work for you. So I go ahead and test it out in my professional use case. I'm a teacher as well as a creative, and I test it out and then I bring you those conclusions based on that real world testing. So we're going to have a good look at that today. So fire in your questions in the comments. Let me know that everything is working smoothly on the stream and you can see everything clearly and you can hear me loud and clear. And I'm just going to sort of give myself 30 seconds whilst earlier on me welcomes you. And yeah, say hello in the comments, please. Let me know what you think. You can also go ahead and go to my community tab and already get involved with the conversation about the new Kindles that have just come out as well. So I'll be back very shortly. Thanks very much for joining the live stream. Don't forget to pop your questions in the chat and I'll get onto them at points during the live stream and at the end in a Q&A session. Supers are available though if you do want to highlight your question, and I will try and get to it a bit earlier. Thanks so much if you're watching this on the replay. Feel free to fire in your questions into the main comment section as well, and I'll get around to answering them. If you're watching it after a day or so, you should find it chaptered out, so feel free to skip around. I'm Kit Betts Masters and this is the Evaluate Everything show. Let's pop over to live, Kit. Awesome. So some really good comments so far. Thank you very much for letting me know everything sounds fine. Great question there. Best budget note-taking tablet that you've used so far. This is a less expensive one. I think budget-wise, you're going to have to look at the Kindle Scribe. That's the one. The size is a little bit smaller than the Remarkable Paper Pro, but I can do that for you just now if I just find one. This is the Remarkable Paper Pro. You can see doesn't exactly dwarf it, but there we are. Get rid of the comment just so you can see. That's the size there. The screen size, the Remarkable, it's the same width actually as the Remarkable Paper Pro, but it's that bit shorter. The screen size on the Remarkable Paper Pro is considerably larger. It's 11.8 plays 10.3. Now we know it's 10.3. It is the older Carter HD, I think 1100. It is 226 ppi. So that was the next question I had there as well. Pardon me. Yeah, one feature. They're saying it's a feature. It's something that's missing. It's not got touch, and it uses the Hanvon standard. So there aren't a lot of other pens that have that same standard. You can buy them separately from one or two places, but they're not as widely available as, for instance, the Wacom EMR is. So yeah, you're right there, Carl. They give you plenty. They give you plenty of spare nibs, but not plenty of spare options for pens. Okay, so yeah, maybe go ahead and get to. Right, so I'm going to dive into my sort of thoughts about it so far, and you can fire on with the comments and I will get back to that. I will come back to that just after I've sort of delivered my little bit of planned content. So far I've found that the Penstar does have one of the most important things is ticked off the list, which is battery life. It does have a pretty impressive battery life, as do most tablets of this kind of generation of e-ink, without any kind of fancy things, without any fancy super refresh things or anything like that. I'm getting 80% after having used this now for 3 days. So that's pretty good. So it's going to easily last a week, probably two. 80% after having actually used it and worked with it for quite a long time. I charged it up. It was ready to go at 100% on Monday. So battery life has been pretty good. It's not 300 ppi, but it still does look quite good. And it's quite reminiscent in a way, the screen of the Supernote. So if I go in and zoom in a little bit for you, what I've noticed, it really does feel like the Supernote in terms of its kind of grippiness. That doesn't necessarily mean that it looks exactly like the Supernote. And it doesn't indent like the Supernote. So in one respect, it feels like it in terms of its grippiness, but it doesn't have the same nice property or as the Supernote has of it kind of like indenting like you're writing on a nice thick pad of paper like the Supernote does. So there we are. It's pretty good in that respect. The Penstar's is brighter though. So if I get out the Supernote, put the two screens together, although they're a similar generation of e-ink, you can see quite clearly this is the brighter screen here. Okay, but the screen is very paper feeling. It's very rough. It's got good texture, and actually the writing feeling is good. It is not quite to the level of the Supernote, but more on that a little bit later on there. Also, the gap between the top of the screen and the e-ink is pretty small. It's one of the smallest that I have used, and that is because they have taken out the touch layer. But you can see that it does not necessarily mean that that is exactly on point, as in exactly where you put down the pen is exactly where the e-ink appears. There is a slight sort of calibration. I've gone through the calibration modes a couple of times. It's almost like, I don't know if you can see, the end of the nib is very close to the end of the pen. It almost feels like there's a millimeter missing at the end of the pen there. And that leads to a little bit of a disjointed writing feel, if I'm entirely honest. Now, you will see this quite a lot, though. Julie's asked a very good question. How irritating is the non-touch aspect? It is pretty irritating until I think you get used to it. So it does have these quick buttons, which are customizable, and you can customize them into 3 different places. So when I click edit on here, I can change what these do. And they basically have 3 different modes, if you like. I'm going to put this into manual focus now so it doesn't actually track, just focuses on the e-ink, and I'll leave it sort of in place. There we are. You've got default, you've got notes, and you've got reading. So basically everywhere apart from in a notes app or in the reader app, the buttons will do whatever they're set to in default, which is the top button to bring up this little menu so you can see what the buttons actually do. Second button, home, but you can change each and every one of these. So that's quite good. And I think if you're going to buy this device, it's for 2 reasons. You don't want to use touch, you want a good pen feel, and you want to use buttons to navigate. I do feel that they should have had just a little extra e-ink screen just in here. That would have been ideal, so they could always tell you, like in context, what the buttons were doing. And what I've done is I've mapped all of them, all of those 3 modes. I've mapped the bottom one to recents. So wherever I am, I can always get out to this recents panel, and I can navigate to any of the other apps that I've got open and I'm running. So I think that's quite nice. And the second one I've always made home to bring myself back to this. So the buttons have been quite useful. So good question. How irritating is the non-touch aspect? Well, you've got to balance that with how actually quite nice it is to use those quick buttons. So there's that. I've also found out one other thing about the device. It does have auto translation. Okay, that was set in settings. I could turn on auto translation on. It wasn't in that settings menu. It was in a different settings menu, but it was somewhere. And you can see here, view recognized text. And just like on the Supernote, it will go ahead and it will automatically recognize the text. Clearly, it's not made much of this stuff, but it has made an acceptable job of some of the top bit. But no, you can see here, some of it is done really badly, but I didn't write this neatly expecting it to be recognized. But here's a bit that's sort of my normal scruffy-ish handwriting. Yeah, there's some things I've said here. You can't log into any Google apps on here, I've said. You can download Microsoft and log in, but you can't smell in one. You can't scroll in OneNote is what I'd written there. We'll talk about that. That would be a problem for using that there. It'll be a problem in quite a few Android apps, but you can edit this area quickly, and then you can export that, share that to any place on the device, or actually just via email it is there rather than actually any app that's on the device, and I haven't set up the email yet. But anyway, we'll fire on there. I found that actually, yeah, that is going to take some getting used to, those quick buttons. So there is that. I find personally as well that the placement of the pen button is a little bit annoying because I often accidentally touch it on when I'm writing, but that is true, honestly, of just about every pen button that I've ever used. So if I go along a little bit, this is the pen tools here. What I'm finding is that as I'm writing, I'm accidentally, and then defaulting to the marker like that. So that's a bit annoying. Now you can map that to just about whatever you want. Okay, the pen button there is clearly the things you'll probably want will be either like I've got it now, the highlighter. So that's my highlighter, and I've got an eraser on the back, and I've got the obviously writing. Oh, see, I've just done it there. I promise I did not do that on purpose to make a point. That was just me accidentally pressing the pen button rather than writing normally. But there we are. And the highlighter does go behind, and the highlighter is additive. So there, those two things, if you like those or not, those two things to remember. The different tools that it's got then, it does have a pretty good pencil tool, but it isn't tilt functional. The pressure is good though. The pressure is good. It's got ballpoint that has no pressure levels, no change in thickness with pressure. The brush is very nice, and the pressure levels on the brush are good. Simple pen does have a little bit of pressure. Calligraphic just does a very simple change in thickness with diagonals, and the marker is useful and it does go behind. What I find quite odd though is when you look at the top here, the actual icon always says pen, no matter what you're in. It always says pen. It means pen type. The little icon doesn't change. Oh, it doesn't look any different anyway. It does. The little icon does change, sorry, but it's very difficult to see, and it always says pen underneath it. So whatever you're in, it always says pen for some reason. So the pen isn't bad. It's quite plasticky, but I would say that the 8,000 levels of pressure is quite good, really. But the actual quality of the pen could do with improving. And yeah, there we are. So going back to apps and things like this. So Microsoft apps have logged in just fine. So I'll go home, and then I can go apps here. And I did get into, I downloaded from the Aurora Store. So I downloaded Aurora Store from the web. This is a bit long. I've downloaded OneNote and all the other apps you can see there. And yeah, I'm into OneNote, and I can use my OneNote. I'm logged in as me. I'm just waiting for it to update. Now let's spot if you can see the issue in OneNote. All right, so here we are in OneNote. Well, first of all, the issue is the terrible low latency, of course, with no workaround that you could use. But now, how do you normally scroll in OneNote? Well, you write with the pen and you scroll with your fingers, don't you? So how can you actually scroll? Well, no, I don't have the option of page up and page down, even though they're designed to do next page. I can't do scroll on it. I don't think there's no option to make a button scroll. And you certainly wouldn't be able to sort of move around the whole page. So unfortunately, OneNote is a no-go there, really, because you can't scroll with your finger. And there's no way to sort of make the pen a scroller. It would just be annoying. Okay. So yeah, there is a real issue there, I think. The handwriting, and just to say next, well, the Google apps did not log in at all. So Google Things you can't log into Google Things at this point on it. So it's not even that there's no Google Play Store. There's no logging into any Google Drive apps at all. So not Google Drive, not anything. So I did download Google Drive, the app. One of the first things I put on, because that's the most convenient way for me to get things on and off devices. Couldn't log in at all, just kicks me straight out. So if you're a user of Google Apps, then this device is not for you at all. I could download the Gboard incidentally, though that worked and that's installed. Docs, though, no chance at all. I could download and use Word, and I was using Word for typing into. Now, first of all, to say I've got it set on Gboard, but I'll just see if I can change the language options back to the actual built-in keyboard, because that was okay actually. Is it in system? See if I put language there. English, yes, but I want the language input. Not sure where that'll be now. It's not button settings. Back one press of that. I do like that a long press of that is a full refresh, so that's quite nice. I'm not sure how to put it back to the language, but actually the handwriting recognition for the original handwriting, the original keyboard, the on-screen keyboard, was quite good. So the handwriting recognition actually did work pretty well. And I can connect it to a Bluetooth keyboard. Let's go ahead and connect that up, turn that on. I should just be, see, I've done it. I should have a little counter, shouldn't I, of how many times do I try and touch the screen with my finger? That would be quite an interesting one to do. Hold down there for Bluetooth. Are we already connected? Looks like we're connected already, right? So, and you'll see, yeah, look, a pointer comes up. Clearly unusable currently, but you do have different screen modes. Optimize the screen. Okay. Oh, am I still in a? I must still be in a first-party app. So it says to you, it says the app optimization only works in third-party apps, not their own apps. So here I am in my Word. Now I can optimize. I must be in a faster mode already. I'm in ultra fast. So let's just leave it in fast, which is normally okay. Let's do a full refresh just to give it its best shot, and then try typing. You can see it's quite far behind me there. Luckily though, now that I've installed the Gboard, it isn't doing what it was doing earlier on, which was with its own keyboard, it was getting in the way, and it was like trying its best to do the predictive text thing. So now that I've installed Gboard knows to get out of the way, I think, and not interrupt while I'm trying to type. Whereas what was happening with its own keyboard was that I was having to like press spacebar twice to actually get it to move the cursor. I'm going to go into the ultra fast mode because I think that's what you would have to use if you were trying to type on this thing. And you see now we go back to really quite a lot of ghosting. But it is faster now. But it is possible to type on it. It is acceptable if you absolutely must. If you're a confident typist, you could use that with Word. We'll come back to that again because, well, the conclusion of this will tell you, I think, all you need to know so far about this device. So, where are we up to? The interface has some nice things. There's nice customization options. It appears to be somewhat childlike to some users. So the comment I've had about, sorry, no, that's the home button there. The comment I've had about this little thing, if I go to make a new note, you see you get this interface here, which is a good idea, this interface incidentally. So I can draw anything I like on the cover. So I can make the cover of this notebook a little winking smiley like this. And I can click in here and go note. Wonder if I can change the keyboard input. It does that, does it? That's the Gboard menu rather than the just deciding the thing there. So what will I call it then? I will call it Wink. Okay. Make a new notebook. But they said that cover setup there looked like children's kind of Etch-a-Sketch or something, like a very childlike display. And I kind of get that. I kind of understand that. So okay, so perhaps, certainly if that puts you off, you should look away, really. But I think that that's a good idea. Okay, they've got that cover. You can make the cover as you make it. There's some good ideas in there, but they're not as well developed as some other operating systems are. So there is, of course, no issues with palm rejection. Now, the thing is, that has not been an issue with a lot of tablets for some time now. I haven't had an issue with palm rejection on a tablet for some time at all. So this is really trading the usefulness of having two different distinct interfaces. So the fact that you've got a pen on most tablets and the screen knows when the pen is touching the tablet compared to when your fingers are touching. And incidentally, you've got things like multi-touch, which of course you can't do. You can't do pinch and zoom, which now we're all just so used to. So you're trading that for a slightly thinner, slightly closer pen to ink distance, and you're trading that for buttons. Now, buttons are very nice on readers. So, okay, if this was a reader and you wanted page down buttons, I've got in the reading mode, these are mapped to my page up and page down. I know where they are now, and it's nice to use buttons. It's good. I like that. But I don't think personally that the loss of everything that you're just used to doing, then you traded off quite a lot for something which is a lot less of a deal. So there we go. There's some issues there. It's a promising features. There's good battery life. There are, though, quite a few usability issues at this point, like interface quirks there, things that you're just kind of like, how do I do that? It's not, as intuitive as it maybe should be, or that the drop-down menu doesn't work even when you're in the notes thing, so you have to go home first. Some of those things there. And despite it having some, I'll show you a quirk now. So Cloud is my cloud storage, and the cloud storage you can sign into either you can sign into Google Drive or OneDrive. I think there might have been some other options, and you can use their cloud. Here I am signed into my Google Drive, and I am signed in. It did authorize me into this somehow, but here you go. As you can see, I don't have an empty Google Drive folder. So the Google Drive app that they've allowed just didn't let me in at all, essentially. So that's an issue. And there's a lot of devices that are doing something similar to what this device is doing, giving you a very, very thin paper-like experience. Here we go. Here's one of them. You'll probably recognize it if you've been around my channel a fair bit. This is the Boox Go 10.3. The Boox Go 10.3 gives an incredibly thin paper-like experience. It doesn't have a front light. It does have still, though, it is probably ever so slightly, it must be like 1/10 of a millimeter, maybe 2/10 of a millimeter difference between the top of the screen on this one and the top of the screen on this one compared to where the ink is. This one gives you 300 ppi, and this one has no issues whatsoever of going into Google Play and getting apps that way and signing into Google things. This one has no issues with typing on it. There are a few more devices that are aiming to give you very, very paper-like things, and I've just picked out the ones that have no front light here. But when you consider this is the same price, the Penstar is the same price at give or take £10 as the Boox Go 10.3, I find it very difficult to say, simply for the loss of touch, and okay, the very paper-like, very rough feeling over here, and the gaining of twice the number of pressure levels, which are quite good, but you've lost tilt and a lot of other things. I find it very hard to say that you should buy this over the Go 10.3. And then this is another entry into a market where we've got a lot of other people like the Viwoods trying to give you a very, very thin and paper-like experience. Again, with the Viwoods, there's no Google Play, there's no Google services at all. You can't sign into anything Google, or that it's not super thin and light anymore. But the old favorite, the Supernote, with one of the nicest pen feelings that I've ever used still to this day. Absolutely fabulous device. I'm sure you'll all know what I'm talking about on there. And incidentally, this is the only device, I think, that I've ever been tricked into thinking that I was writing on paper. This is the only device that I'm thinking like, oh, that just looks like real ink, and it's the old one. It's not the new one at all. So this is because of the way it indents. It's the only device I've ever been tricked. It's ink on paper. Just because of the way it indents, then it catches the light, almost like wet ink going down onto paper. This is the sort of trick that it does. Nothing else does. And it's still super fast and it's still super accurate. And although there is a bigger gap here, there is a bigger gap at this side compared, a bigger gap between the very top and the screen. I think because it indents slightly, that gap is shortened every single time you press the pen in. And this is the one currently still with the best paper feeling experience going. Okay, and the newer versions, obviously the smaller one with the newer paper feeling, I think is even better. And they have this. They have amazing accessories that look and feel like real pens. Whereas this looks nice. It's incredibly plasticky. It's a lot lighter than this lovely heart of metal pen. Looks like a real pen, but it's quite plasticky, this one, the Penstar pen. And as pointed out at the top of the show, you have to use their pen and you don't have much of a choice of those currently. So yeah, there's lots to love about all e-ink devices, of course. And then there's one more without a front light in the black and white category. Again, the Remarkable, which again has an amazing paper-like feel. And okay, this one, the Supernote, the Remarkable, and the Penstar all have the older 227 ppi screen, and the Boox and the Viwoods have the newer 300 ppi screen. So that's the same throughout these older generation of devices, and that's a brand new device, the Penstar. I was really expecting it to be a full 300 ppi. I just thought it would be. So, what's the recommendation there? Okay, compared to the Remarkable and the Supernote, it's got speakers and microphone, but the Boox has a speaker and microphone as well. Yeah, it's difficult to really see the person that wants those specific improvements. If you do want those specific improvements, then I can also tell you this, that I'm using it at the minute at work and it's working and it's doing the job. It's being my planner. I'll show you my planning document. It is currently, I'm happy with it. If this was the only e-ink device on the market right now, I would be recommending it to all of you. If this was the only thing you could buy right now, I would say, wow, this is an incredible device, incredibly useful for planning, incredibly useful for doing your jobs. Here we are. Let's go back. There's my planning for from Wednesday. Look, Friday. I did definitely have some notes on Friday though. So I don't know where they've gone. If I've accidentally deleted them or something, that would be really disappointing. Have I put them on the wrong Friday? No, I know exactly what I'm doing on Friday, luckily. Because these guys have a test in this period. Oh, I see. Well, every time you annotate on a PDF, you have to remind it that you want to annotate because it will default to the pen being like a touch. So these guys are doing a test there. I've done that thing where I've accidentally touched the button. These guys, I can't remember exactly what they're doing, but we're going to do some revision first there. I definitely did have some notes here, so that's disappointing that they've gone. So who knows? That's certainly, if that's something that happens where it deletes notes, that is certainly an issue. Right. As I say though, generally it's worked. Okay, for doing all the things that e-ink is very good for planning, thinking, writing, drawing, all of those things, this is still an acceptable and usable e-ink tablet I have found so far. Going to test out that and wonder where my notes have gone though from Friday, because I had some useful notes in there I will have to rethink. So, okay, I'm going to take myself just 30 seconds, if you don't mind, just to give myself a drink, and I'll have a little look through your comments afterwards. Very warm welcome to you all. Thanks so much for watching. Just watching the majority of videos, or watching all the way through videos, is an amazing way that you can help out with the channel. So thanks so much for sticking around through this live stream. I hope you find it useful and helpful. Let me know though if there's anything that you want to see more of or less of. Don't forget that by hitting that like button is absolutely free, and it does send a message to the algorithm that this is content that people find valuable, and therefore it will help it to spread to more people. So please, before we jump back into the live stream, just scroll down a bit and press that thumbs up. Let's go back to Kit live. Okay, thank you earlier on me, and let's get the device up, the device in question, and look through some of your comments. So fire away if you've got any questions about it. We're then going to talk about the Kindles, the new Kindles, because that's hot news as well, isn't it? So we've done those ones there. Yeah, so A5X2, how does this compare to that? Yeah, on paper, well, it's a very old chipset. It's if you want to know, I have looked and downloaded CPU-Z, and it comes up at least as the Rock chip 3066. Now, I wonder if sometimes this is incorrectly reported. It might even be a 3566, but in any case, these are baseline quality, low quality chips. But it does come up, it comes up as a chip from like 2017 or something, a 40 nanometer chip. So it comes up as a very old chip, just for cores, not a lot of storage or RAM. I think it's 2 gigs of RAM, is it? Yeah, 2 gigs of RAM, 32 gigs of storage. So, you know, it's capable, it can do the things, but as you've seen, that probably is why Google won't allow it, because the chip is so old that it probably has risks with that as well. It looked like the color flashing on the RMPP when you did the highlight. Yes, for some reason, I think there is something about highlights actually flashing. I don't know why that is. I can't see a reason why it decides to flash at this point. Why can't black do that? I suppose maybe it has to pull up more and then pull down some afterwards to make it right. But yeah, that could be certainly better. I don't think that Boox tablets do that in their thing, in their app, their first party apps at least. OneNote is unusable for anything but reading. OneNote is just unusable at all on here. Just, yeah, it's currently unusable. If you can't scroll around OneNote in its big, wide, infinite canvas, then there's not a lot of point in that. I think you're right there, Vincent. Yeah, there's a journey to go through here. Now, this is Penstar's first tablet, but this operating system has been ported from their Chinese version under the name Hanvon. So maybe, you know, maybe it will come, maybe it'll improve. We will see. 2000s vibes. Were there any e-ink tablets in 2000s? There were e-ink readers, but were there any e-ink tablets? Yeah, interesting. And then Vincent is a bit more disparaging. I like reading buttons as well, absolutely. I do wish more devices would have buttons. We're wondering that as well, and I'll talk about that when we talk about another device we're going to cover later on, and my new car as well. And they've put in a lot more haptic buttons. Now, are haptic buttons easier for them to build? Do they break less? And are they just generally cheaper? Or do people think they're haptic buttons, you know, which means like a button that isn't a real button, it's just a space that you press and it vibrates a little bit. And a lot of my car's buttons are like that. They're not real clicky buttons. Now, I like a clicky button. I like them, you know, I'm the type of person that spends a lot of money on mechanical keyboards. So why not put nice clicky buttons on? I'm the type of person that's ordered the minimal phone because it's got a QWERTY keyboard built on. So yeah, I can see the buttons, but either it needs to be so well integrated with the user interface that the buttons are a valid alternative to using touch. You know, that's how you're using your left hand while your right hand holds the pen. And incidentally, for lefties, if you rotate it like that, the whole thing switches. and that is now my home button. That's my set button, and the buttons come across there. So left-handed people will find this to work just fine, and your left hand you'd use for that, and the right hand you'd use for the buttons, and your left hand you'd use for writing. So that is quite good. That at least has been well considered. But yeah, I think that they needed to have these buttons so well integrated that it was clear at a glance what they were doing in each context, and that that context could switch seamlessly to make them incredibly useful. But at the minute, you've got this free context, and you've basically got to learn them for them to be useful. So, all right. I don't think the majority of people will use all the touch feature functions on the e-readers. Yeah, don't disagree. So no touch and more buttons is appealing as long as the software is good. Yeah, so I think, Laura, you've just really hit the same point. I didn't look ahead and steal your idea, I promise, but absolutely. I think that's what I mean by that. The software could be better, and that would be better there. And yeah, these are eNote devices. So yeah, I'm sure it should be the case that, that the software is making better use of those buttons. Is Notion working? I imagine so. I haven't installed it just yet, but I imagine so. But you might get into similar issues that I was talking about there, with needing the touch to be different from the pen. And if it's just expecting touch and pen input, then it's going to be a difficult one there, isn't it? Does the handwriting recognition work in other languages other than English? Dutch, would it recommend? I haven't tried that. There is a language selector in the handwriting recognition panel. Is it in this settings here? No, it must be in the full settings. So let's go home, settings. Is it on reading? Is it on system? That's the system language there. Only got English or the 2 Chineses. I did see it when I first set up the automatic reading. Is it in? That's in here. So rather than in the, there we go. So it is a little bit like a user interface, a little bit like Boox and other tablets that you've got to learn a lot about. Automatic handwriting. No, it's not. I can't see where it is. It must be somewhere though. So that's the switcher for automatic handwriting recognition in the background. There must be a switcher for it somewhere, but I'm not seeing it right now. So my apologies for that. And I'm not sure. Oh, yeah, I'm not sure which language it will do when it does that. So my apologies for that. The line between eNotes and e-readers is kind of blurred, especially for the big devices. Yeah, I don't disagree at all there. Are the lasso tool or select tool able to resize the handwritten text? I don't think so. No, I think you could just move it around, which was a bit of a nuisance. So if I go into one of my notepads and I go lasso, I didn't see any handles at all. You can just move it. Look, can't see. There's no little boxes to allow me to resize it. So that's missing. That is just plain missing. There is a record function there though. There is some shapes that you can add as well. Yeah, so you can save a note as a template, which is nice. You can set it as a screensaver. You can export to a PDF nice and easily. You can add a table of contents. Now, I didn't spot this. Right, so a table of contents title will probably be contents. So that's good. That is quite SuperNote-esque, isn't it? So where is the table of contents now? I've added a table of contents. Where is it? It will appear in the note table of contents, but I couldn't find that. Oh, add page as the table of contents. Add page to table of contents, right? I don't know. I can't see where to find the table of contents, to be quite honest. Is there an option, a button option, maybe? So there we are. This needs work to make it a bit more obvious how these things go. But there we are. I haven't seen a manual, so I haven't had read a manual to find out how these things go. Yeah. Yeah, I don't disagree there. There's a good conversation there. Um, yeah, exactly. And they do need to do both. I do agree. So the larger size, it makes sense to have styluses because it's about paper as well. Right. And this just trying to take me off track as well. Um, so we're not going to do that. Good to hear this. Look, this is another great news. Gentleman's YouTube channel taken off, maths YouTubing. Loving that. Great. Glad to hear that. Yeah, well, the Google Drive was a no-go. Unfortunately, it just couldn't get onto Google Drive in either of the things. So thanks, Laura, for fielding that as well. So no other EMR pen will work with this. It's only the hand-bond standard of EMR pen, which the standard is fine. It's quick enough. I love the pressure levels. I have tried a little bit of drawing on it. I haven't got massively far with drawing yet. Drawing notebook. You see that, but I did really quite enjoy that. It's a little bit of Van Gogh. I'm on a real Van Gogh kick at the minute. It's one of my kids there. But the pressure levels were nice. And actually, when I got to the point, I was like, all right, I'll start using the brush now. I actually really did enjoy drawing on it. And there's a nice quality to the line, and you get good control over the thickness because of all those pressure levels. And 8,000 pressure levels is what you get in the real deal drawing tablets, the ones that are designed for professional artists. So having 8,000 pressure levels isn't actually a small deal for this tablet. And there was a nice quality of line that I was getting there. I was really quite pleased with doing that pen. So the drawing fine is good. The pen technology is fine. Yeah, ergonomics and muscle memory is important. Physical buttons are essential. Cars, volume knobs. Yeah, I think they're not all non-physical buttons, but they've gone to a lot of them as well. But yeah, so we do need to still use some physical buttons, I think. Kai, say hello, Kai. You know, it's starting to feel like the ink market is starting to get oversaturated. Yeah, that's an interesting point, Kai. I was thinking about that, and as I said, if this was the one and only e-ink tablet, I'd still be recommending it. And there is, if you think this is for you, by the way, that they've been kind enough to give me an affiliate deal where you can get this from the link in the description, but do also check out my lists of best 10 e-ink tablets. But you're right, yeah, there is more. You know, when I first did one of those lists, it was a top 5 because I only had about like 7, and there were only about 3 or 4 companies that were actually making them. So now we've got this, yeah, it's getting saturated, but I think choice is better. I would say I'm all for choice and competition, and I hope that by it being oversaturated, we start to get a bit of price war. And if they were offering this at the price of the Scribe, for instance, like a sort of $250 tablet, then maybe it'd be more of maybe it'd be easier to recommend to you. So there we are. Yeah, very difficult to use any apps that rely on touch, and I absolutely agree. There are always trade-offs, and they've decided to trade that off. Perhaps it works for you, perhaps it doesn't. Okay, it's been absolutely wonderful chatting to you about that. I'm going to leave this tablet now. I'm going to talk about Kindles a little bit, so I hope you're up for that. I'm just going to go ahead and give myself a few moments to get things set up on the screen and everything like that, whilst you go ahead and tell everyone that we're talking about the Kindle. Thanks so much for joining the live stream or for watching the replay. Just being here and watching the majority of the videos is a really, really useful way to help my channel grow. But if you want to say thanks in a really simple but also meaningful way, it's just to share out my videos like this one. Just copy the link from the browser or press the share button on your phone and copy the link, then paste it into wherever you discuss e-ink tablets. A group on Facebook, a Reddit subreddit, or a Discord server. Pop that link in there and say, Kit's demonstrating e-ink tablets live. Jump in. Again, I love hanging out with you people, and I appreciate you spending your time watching these live streams. I really enjoy making them with you. Okay, so you can't see me at this point, which wasn't intended. So let's figure that one out. There we go. I'll switch them, and then we should be able to get that view. Yeah, okay, so here is the poll that is currently live on my community tab. Go ahead and go over to the community tab wherever you're watching from, and let's refresh that and see if there's been any change. But there's been 233 votes. and this is the poll about the new Kindles, and there's 4 Kindles that have been launched just now, and this is what you guys have thought. And yeah, there's lots to say there. Most of you are thinking, yeah, an underwhelming update, but a sensible feature set for them to add to their device. That one makes sense to me as well. I think, okay, it doesn't mean you need to update it, but update what you've got. But of course, if there are better and newer screens, then whatever their new version should be should always have the latest screens. And that's what they've done in the normal Kindle and the Paperwhite. Essentially, that is just bringing them up to date with latest Carter 1300. So that's better contrast, that's better response time, so the page turns will be quicker, and better interaction with the elements with your touch. And also there's a new color in the normal Kindle as well. Some of you wanted to day one purchase, so just buy it, yeah, outright. I did immediately buy the color soft, and I'll talk about that in a moment. Some people just saying, yeah, I'm skipping this generation because I've already had this one. People saying, yeah, actually, I'm not impatient for this. I'll wait for the reviews, but maybe I'll be upgrading for this. And some people are just insulted by it, and actually they're going to switch to Kobo or something that they've commented down there as well. So in the description, you'll see a link to the page where it shows you all of the 4 new tablets, and we'll have a little look for them as well. And then I'll just talk about some of the comments. Well, I'll talk to your kind of points about them in the comments first, or why not? So will they improve the file management system, as some people are asking? Yeah, maybe if you can actually organize your notes and things better on it, that would be a useful thing. Boox Go Color 7 has become my daily driver, somebody said. I've got the Go Color 7 somewhere. It's right here. Just to show it off, because that Go Color 7, that's got the same e-ink screen, color e-ink screen that the Color Soft will have. So I just wanted to sort of show that as a example of that screen. I have a couple of other examples of Kaleido color ink screens to show you as well. Excuse me, if you're wondering what the quality of that Kindle Color Soft will be. Let's have a little look into that one as well. I'm going to actually, yeah, that's the Color Soft in there. And of course, you can go here by the link in the description as well. And I think that's going to be one of the main uses, is going to be looking at comics, which is a good time, by the way, reading comics on color e-ink at the minute with Kindle, using the guided view. I've really enjoyed that, and I can show that to you, I believe, here in just a moment as well. Some people saying, well, you know, I've waited for the Kindle Oasis for too long, and now I've already switched to the Kobo. We'll talk about that in a minute as well. Kobo have had color for a little while. People are tempted, but even though the upgrade is not so big, but it's the type of thing maybe they will order. I think, you know, have a little think as well. It's that if there's anyone in your family that is ready for a new e-reader, it might be worth a shout for them as well. People considering the new Scribe, although I think that the difference between it and the current Scribe is just the look, really. And yeah, the pen, just the look and the feel of the pen, maybe. There's people talking about Amazon's trade-in deals not quite good enough to make it worth doing. Maybe sell what you've got secondhand, and you'll get a better deal, is what they're saying. People are actually excited over the new features, and the new features are coming to original Scribe owners. So they've launched with a few extra software features for the Scribe as well, and we'll talk about those in a moment as well. Just different colors, really, though, and there's a few other little software features as well. But those software updates are going to come to current Scribe things as well. People who have bought a 10.3 and asking, a Go 10.3, asking, did they make the right choice? My response has been almost certainly yes, because the biggest pulls for the Scribe has been its price. And well, now these newer ones, there'll be a refreshed color, a refreshed look to them, but they won't be much different, and they will be probably up to full price straight away. Talking about the color, people saying that the color ink still has too many trade-offs. I don't disagree. And people are surprised that they went with the Kaleido rather than the Gallery 3 screen. probably was the safer bet, in fact, to use the Kaleido screen. And it has been really popular. It's been popular on the Kobos. It's been popular here on the Boox device. Excuse me. It's been popular on the Boox devices. And yeah, it's been popular for a reason, because it is really quite usable. And I'm going to go ahead. We'll put this into faster mode. Apologies, you're not looking at it. I'll actually show it again on the screen now. This is the same screen which is in the Kindle Colorsoft. And for me, it's like, how have they actually managed that screen? And look at it in fast mode. Isn't it zippy? Gallery can't behave like that, but it does need a lot of front light to make it look anywhere near natural color. Now, I think the success of this Kindle Colorsoft will be in how they've managed that e-ink screen. I think, look, moving through panels of a graphic novel or comic on the Kindle, it's going to be a really good time. And they won't have buttons. We've talked about buttons, but I think that that's the right size to have a really good experience of reading on these color e-ink panels. So we will see. And people are just happy with what they've already got. A lot of reasons, and people talking, as we will in a moment, about the comparison to the Kobos and how much each costs. So let's talk firstly a little bit more about the Scribe, and then we'll go through the devices sort of one at a time, really. They've mentioned some AI features on the Kindle Scribe. I find those to be a little bit ridiculous. There's an AI handwriting refinement feature, which is actually just OCR text recognition with then a handwriting looking font. So that's a bit ridiculous. I mean, who would possibly want that? I would have been actually quite interested in that if the if they'd had like something that could tidy up my handwriting, like so AI analyze my handwriting and then give me a neat version of my own handwriting. That would be actually useful, but no, that's not what they're doing. So that's not, it's not a big feature to go out and buy it for. I do think they've added some type of AI kind of understanding of what they what you're reading, so you can ask it kind of questions about the things that you're reading. So there we are. They've put in AI features as well, because everybody needs that at this point as well. The new colors on the Scribe, of course, they're not game changing. And I did wonder if it would be an update to Carta 1300, but it isn't. The Kindle Scribe is going to stay on the Carta 1200. And I know that only, they don't show you that. I know that only because it's still a 10.2 screen, which is the size of the Carta 1200, not the 1300. Which is a 10.65. Maybe I'll be corrected at some point in my life. It's happened before, but that's what I think is going there. So there's really, if you recently bought a Kindle, I don't think there's a need to upgrade across any of these. The new Paperwhites and the new basic Kindle, again, just really a change to the look. But the Kindle Paperwhite and the new Kindle have the Carta 1300 screen. So that is better. But again, I don't think going from the Carta 1200 in the previous one, which was lovely still, is that much of an improvement. It's not necessary to rush out and buy it because of a 25% faster response time and a better contrast, really. So I don't think that, it's just they're going to update because it's a newer screen rather than it being sort of night and day difference, really. I think the Colorsoft, though, is the one that is the interesting one, and I don't disagree. I think a Color Scribe would have been a better choice than the Colorsoft. Yeah, absolutely. I think everyone was really expecting that, I think. But I think maybe they are just dipping their toe in the water of color at this point here as well. So we will see. I think that they're probably trying that out there. Maybe, and a lot of people were kind of expecting the first Kindle to be advanced color e-paper. That's Gallery 3. And it isn't. It is the Kaleido 3. It's it's a good choice because it's quick, but it's a poor choice because the colors aren't so vibrant as they are on the Gallery. So we will see. I think they've gone for the safer option there. But I do think on a normal reader, the gallery free would probably work quite well. A bit strange that they've gone for that, but that's what they've gone for. It's probably a bit less expensive for them, and it probably didn't require such a lot of learning. I'm imagining the R&D department tried both, and they thought that it'd be a bit hard to actually get the gallery free to perform as well as they could immediately get the Kaleido free to work. So maybe we'll see a gallery 3 and a larger one or a different size one in the future. We will see. Good skepticism there, first of all. Now, the other thing about those is, well, of course, the Kobo has color e-ink Kaleido free at 2 sizes, both of which are cheaper than the Kindle. So the Kobo devices, they have one that's the same size as this. This is the same size screen that'll be in the ColorSoft. This is the screen that'll be in the ColorSoft, basically. And I hope they've managed the ghosting better than Boox have in the other apps. The native app doesn't have those ghosting problems at all. The reader looks great in the ghosting app, but then you don't get the guided view that I've just shown you in comics. The reader does manage to refresh and get rid of all the color ghosting when it does its full refreshing in their native app, and it looks absolutely fabulous. But yeah, I did mean to show that as well alongside, do this quite a bit, the real comic, to show you that the Kaleido free colors are significantly more washed out than real paper, or indeed the gallery 3. And I've got that comparison several times, so I'm not going to do it in depth today, just to really quickly show you that difference in color. So yeah, I think there's a, people might have expected it to be the gallery, and that might have been better for them, really. It's not going to be a basic Kindle though, so it is going to be more expensive than the 2 Kobo options, but it's not just the ColorSoft is going to be, not just ColorSoft, it's going to be ColorSoft Signature Edition. That's what they're going to call it, right? So at the bottom, they've got a little comparison table. If you go to here, it's going to be the Kindle ColorSoft Signature Edition, meaning it's got wireless charging, which I don't understand the need for wireless charging when you have to charge a Kindle once every month. And the battery life is incredible on Kindle, of course. But it's there, and it will have waterproofing as well. So there's good reasons there. But it's quite a lot more expensive than what you can get in the Kobo. So the Kobo have a 6-inch, the Kobo Clara color is also waterproof, both the Kobos. £140 for the Kobo Clara 6-inch color, so a little bit smaller screen but the same technology. And the Kobo Libra has just £200, so £80 less than this new Kindle, and that is has a terrible stylus, but it has a stylus nonetheless, and it also has buttons. So it has buttons in a similar way that this Boox tablet has buttons as well. And I think we've talked about the usefulness of having buttons on our devices just a little bit earlier on as well. So having buttons and touch would be the gold standard, of course. Yes, you would ask them to add a little bit of salt, but maybe they have added salt. And I'm interested because I kind of get the impression that perhaps these devices were delivered with the previous controller, and maybe there's something they can do with this stack of layers on top of the e-ink, because in fact there is they've made a big deal about their LEDs they're using and the way that they're firing those LEDs across the screen to maybe make it brighter, maybe make it look a little bit better. But if we're having to fire really bright colored LEDs across the screen, is that the best thing for us for enjoying our eye comfort, which is why we all love e-ink, one of the big reasons we all love e-ink for. So there we are. I don't think there's a strong reason to switch to Kobo if you're in the Kindle ecosystem, but I think you might want to look at switching to Boox, because this device is the same price. The Go Color 7 is £280 as well. So it has that same screen, and you have all of those options. You can still just use it like a Kindle, but you can do all of the Google Play Store things, all of the Amazon tablet things on there as well. You can turn this into a little typewriter that you can take with you if you like, with an external keyboard. There's loads of things there that are going for it as well. So it'd be very interesting to see what Kindle have actually done with that screen and maybe there's life in Kaleido yet. We'll see. They need to get, excuse me, they need to get both refresh rate and ghosting right. I think the gallery was a bit too risky for them at the moment. I think that they're sensible updates, but not overwhelming. And a lot of you are thinking, just wait for the reviews before upgrading. And I will be reviewing the Color Kindle, and I'll talk more about that in a second. And yeah, it could be a good purchase for special occasions. If you know someone who loves to read on their Kindle, and you think they benefit from a bit of color in their life, it might be a good option. Just going to give myself a moment, everybody. Thanks so much for watching. If you're here towards the end of the live stream, then I hope it's fair to say that you find this content valuable. I have found a way to offer even more value to you. If you want to go deeper and also to support the channel even more going forwards, channel memberships are a great way to get involved in more of a community and more of a conversational form of content. The key benefits to becoming an Evaluate Everything member are members only live streams where I'll answer your questions and give you my insights into the devices that I'm evaluating even before I've published a full review. So if you do want a bit of a preview of the points that are going to make it into the full review before I've even been able to shoot or edit those videos, you can get involved with that. You can ask questions and request demos and really just discuss and influence the content as it goes forward. I really hope this community grows into a place where we can have a meaningful discussion around these devices that I evaluate. There'll also be community posts for members only discussions, and membership also means that your questions and comments are highlighted to me in my memberships area. There's no change to what I'm offering here for free, but here's an open invite for you to go deeper and help me to evaluate everything. Back to the live stream. Yeah, cool. So and I did some members only live streams just this week. Actually, I filmed some of my content coming up. Actually, I filmed it live during the day, and people joined in to give their comments whilst I was actually filming it. So that was cool. A quick look at your comments then about these. What does it mean by it has special LEDs? It is the front light, but they've talked about the direction they're firing them and the blend of colors that they're using. Who knows? Yeah, shining light through them. LED pixels to individually enhance color as well. We will see. Might just be marketing mumbo jumbo there. Yeah, interesting one. So you certainly couldn't read a comic if it was just that size. What you could do is on the Kindle you get that guided view, which means you can read it really well. We talked about this one as well. Yeah, they are generally enhancing the Scribe, so that's good as well. Yeah, I agree. I don't know why they got rid of the Oasis design. That seemed to be quite popular with people. Yeah, interesting one. Opposite to other brands, what do you think they're trying to achieve? I think they always try to have a good price point. I think why they've gone so expensive with this one is to not cannibalize the rest of their lineup, which is an odd choice. You know, for the Kobo, it's like, oh, why wouldn't I just get the color? It's only like a few pounds extra, like £20 extra to get the basic Kobo in color. So, like, why wouldn't you just add that extra £20? Whereas they've gone for no, color's a premium option. Buy that if you want that. So it's weird, isn't it? Interesting. Yeah, interesting. But people loved the Microsoft Surface Duo as well, didn't they? Yeah, interesting to see what develops in that. Thanks for that, Neil. That's an interesting discussion. Best pen, feel no distraction, plus calendar, Penstar, Supernote, or Remarkable 2, Supernote. Okay, and so yeah, I brought one. I brought a Coloursoft. I brought it day one, purchased it. I will review it, but it's going to become my daughter's device eventually, and she loves reading on her Kindle, and it's been incredibly useful to her for her vocabulary building. So what she can do on the Kindle is she can hold down on a word, and therefore she can it will tell her its meaning. It will give her a definition, dictionary definition. She was really hooked on reading before she could actually read, and it's largely because of the Kindle. The reason is that I brought it with a pair of headphones for her, and so she was really enjoying and loving reading full-length books as audiobooks even before she could read. And now she flies through series of books. She loves reading. She's an avid reader, especially for age. And I'm sure she'll love the Color Kindle. I'm absolutely certain of it. She doesn't read comic books yet, but I bet I can introduce her to a few, and I think she'll love that. So I think that for casual graphic novel enthusiasts, carrying that in your pocket, I think it would actually be a really quite a good device. And the Paperwhite Signature Edition that I do have as well is a really nicely made device. Nothing wrong with it at all. It's a smaller device than this is. You know, this is not really pocketable, but the Paperwhite kind of is, because you just miss off this whole side there. But I think for doing that kind of especially if you're reading panel by panel, I think not having buttons and having to swipe the screen all the time would be a bit of a pain. I think actually I kind of wish they'd had some ergonomic buttons. I wanted to just showcase just a couple of other options in the color screen. And I do think this ink pad is one of the very best iterations and uses of the Kaleido screen. This is a 7.8 Kaleido free screen, so it's the same basic technology. And incidentally, this had sat there doing nothing. This had sat on my desk, hardly being used for a good long time, and it just turned on almost instantly. And one of the best things about Kindle is that they do that as well. They sit there on standby, basically consuming no power, and turn on. They still got lots of battery life. So this is really quite good. I think maybe, unfortunately though, one thing I've noticed about it, I might have just done that. I think I've just broken the plastic around the USB-C charging point. So there we go. That's one thing about it. However, just to show you how good the Kaleido Free can look, this I just think looks a bit better than the Boox does. And there isn't as much control here, but these guys have made just one type of front light, one color front light that you can use. It's upside down. I know it is bicolor, my apologies, but it is a smart light, and it generally always looks really very good on here. I don't know why it's upside. It's just flipped itself. There we go. The auto rotate. But this is generally much clearer and crisper than any other Kaleido free device that I've used, bar maybe the Tab Mini C. So I don't know if there's something about this size, but maybe Kaleido free, actually they've learned a bit more about it, and the latest Kaleido free panels are going to be better. We will see. I think that the Kindle could be better, but this also has buttons, which are a very convenient way, of course, to relax and turn the page on a book. So shame that thing that's just broken there. So yeah, they were talking about the LEDs firing at different angles and blending different colors to make the ideal color light for this. But if you need to always use a front light, then it's really not quite e-ink, is it? I think the color, for it to be special, it'll have to outperform these brands. It'll have to look better than the Pocketbook. It'll have to look better than the Boox. It'll have to look better than the Big Me, who also have a very good 7-inch e-reader in color as well. So we will see. It's outpriced them, so it better outperform them as well. And it might not need the very best processor, because it probably won't have a great processor. But since it's Kindle and they're only really dealing with static images, it probably should be all right. So a little bit more about the Scribe that I'd planned to say, perhaps could have talked about it earlier. I'll just do the switcheroo again. Yeah, I too am waiting for that enlightenment. I would love to see that coming along soon. That was a great device, still is. Shame that it's not sold currently. Let's look a little bit more about the Scribe. The other thing that's changed is the pen, and the pen has got this kind of metallic feel now as well. And that's welcome, but it isn't a major change. They've got rid of the basic pen. That's not going to be an option anymore. And also they've talked about the eraser is a bit more rubberized, which is not important to me, really. And yeah, I've talked about the AI features, which is something else I wanted to do there. So yeah, I don't think the Kindle Scribe is something that needs to be updated. And there's one more thing. They've added these stickies have changed. It's now like a sticky canvas like this. So you can add in a little like floating space for your notes. So you can write on all the books by adding a little floating space for your notes that will allow the text to reflow around that, essentially. And then also the other way to make notes is not in any of the pictures there, but it's you can swipe from one side, and then you'll have a little bit of space at the side in the margin to basically do some writing. Okay, a few more comments, and then I've got one more thing to cover with you this evening, everybody, and then we will crack on. So let's have a look at some of these comments. The one for reading an academic book, I think you want a larger size. So go for a 13.3 perhaps. The Tab X is excellent. But maybe as well that 11.8 inch size, which you can currently only get in the Remarkable, is pretty good. And actually the Remarkable as a reader of PDFs, it's not bad at all actually for reading and annotating PDFs is okay. I've thought about using that, but no, I'm not I'm not at the point where I need to turn pages with my foot. But musicians certainly, I know a musician who uses a Boox now, who uses a foot page turner to turn her music. So that does work. And I've seen for instance, there are rings you can get, which will turn the page for you now. So if you really need to have it set up somewhere and you want to turn the page, maybe you're doing something else with your hands, then that could be quite neat. Is a Go Free 10.3 color coming? I hope so, but then I don't understand how they work that with the front light. I think they just put the front light in, but then what's the difference in a Go 10.3 and a new and the Note lineup? I don't know. You know, what would if a Go 10.3 had a front light and was a bit thicker, then it would just be a Note device, wouldn't it? So I don't know. And this one, it has already launched in China, so I'm wondering is the Note Air lineup dead and buried, is my question I've been talking about recently. Thank you all for being here. What wonderful people. So I'm going to talk about one more thing now. I'm going to talk about this, and you haven't seen it, but I've been wearing it the entire live stream. This is the Plaud Note. Have you seen this? Have you heard about this? Been wearing it here. I don't think it's been recording. Talking about haptic buttons, there are no physical buttons at all on this. And yeah, I'm going to talk about that briefly. It's something that I've been exploring with. I'm going to talk about that in just a few moments. Okay. So I just dropped the live stream for a few seconds to tell you something which might surprise you. Did you know that most of the people who watch my channel aren't actually subscribed? Even people that are regular viewers. What's that about? No worries, but really, channels like mine, it really does help with the way that robots decide who to send my videos out to. So take a moment to scroll down and check whether your button says subscribed or subscribe. If it says subscribe, then just click it and let's get back into the live stream. So Plaud then, this is called the Plaud Note Pin, and you can wear it as I've been wearing it around your neck as a little pendant. You know, it's quite nice, really quite nice, it's quite discreet. Sure you didn't notice it was around my neck there the whole time. Or you can wear it on your wrist as a little watch. I'll talk about that in a moment as well. Or you can wear it on your lapel on a little pin. It's got a little magnetic pin there. There we are. And that can obviously clip onto your clothes. Or you can have it either side, and you can take this wire off quite easily as well. This pendant thing off. You can take the pendant thing off quite easily as well, and it's just got a little magnetic back, and by default it only comes like this, and you clip one side of this to the inside and the other side to the outside of your clothes, and then you're wearing this little note pin. So it's quite a cool little thing, and it's very nicely designed, really neat little and attractive design. We were talking about haptic buttons versus non earlier on. So this works with a haptic press in the middle, and now it is recording. And I can just talk to that for a little while. And then the idea is that it will transcribe my voice using ChatGPT 4.0 on this little app in here. And when you finish talking, hold that down again. It does a little double vibrate, and then it's done. And then those notes then come into the app on your phone here. And this is how I've done today's live stream, actually. So what I did on today's live stream was I spoke to my Plaud about what I thought about the Kindle Scribe, the new updates, things like that. You see, all of these are the, excuse me, are the little bits of talk to myself or talk to my Plaud that I've done so far. It has transcribed that. It provides you a transcript of everything you've said. It provides you a summary, and it provides you a little mind map of what was said as well. And then also you have options to change what your summary looks like. So you can use different templates for your summary. And also with the Pro mode, you can ask AI. Now, I've had some issues with this. I'm not going to try and sugarcoat them. I've had some issues with it not always connecting very easily to the Plaud device. Now, that they have been really responsive, and they have been really good at the customer service bit. But they've, you know, I went ahead and bought this, but they've since reached out to me and they've offered me an affiliate link so that if you want to give this a go, it'll be in the description. But I have found that sometimes I have struggled to connect to that. So it just connects by Bluetooth across from the device like this. You don't need to connect it in that way, but it just connects through the app, and it came back on earlier. It was playing up yesterday and it's playing up again this evening. But anyway, the usability when it is functioning just fine, and I'll get back in contact with their customer service, and they've been really responsive, and make sure that it is working. I think I'm going to say and hope, you know, in a few weeks time, I'll be able to say that I don't have that issue anymore. This is a brand new device. It's still on pre-order on their website, in fact. So I'm thinking that, okay, they're probably just having some teething problems at this point. We will see. Let's hope that they get it sorted. But it has been useful. And what I did then, and they also provided me not just an affiliate link, they've also provided me with a pro account as well to try. Now, the ordinary account, the free plan, which I was going to use entirely, was the 300 minutes of transcription per month. And I was planning to use just that. And it still uses the best models. It uses ChatGPT 4.0 or Claude 3.5. They're both, currently they're the best models that you have out there. But with the pro plan, you get 1,200 minutes a month there. So you get 300 minutes a month free. You get 1,200 minutes of transcription a month. And you also get this Ask AI. So what I did then was I asked AI, I asked it to take that transcript and then rewrite that into talking points. And I gave it a little format that I wanted those talking points to be in. And I asked it to give me those talking points in my natural speaking voice. And yeah, that's what I've been reading off this entire time. So that is what you've heard me do. You've heard me reusing my voice notes that I made to transcribe them from this on the phone, and then I've reorganized them using AI. I've read them through once and added bits here and there, thought about what I was going to say. Obviously, you guys contribute, which is the wonderful bit. But yeah, isn't that useful? So really, I think for note taking, that for me is where AI is best used. For me personally, I just think that it's about capturing those thoughts at any point. Now, I think there's a few issues with it. We'll talk about the connection issues, and hopefully that's a teething problem, because when it works, it works really well. The app needs work. It needs to not have the connection issues for a start. And I don't know why, but you have to, once you've imported them, and you can import audio, by the way, you can record audio from something else, and then you can go add, and you can import audio from your device. So I can record a voice note on my phone and import straight into the app. So I suppose you could go ahead and download the app and just try it for free. I don't know if you need to actually have a purchase to get started with it, but perhaps you could try that for free. And then you can and then you have to click on it to say transcribe. I don't see why. There seems to be no option to just have it automatically transcribe. And what I really want it to do is just to go ahead and automatically go to my phone with no connection issue, and then go ahead and transcribe the whole thing so it's ready as a little summary when I'm ready to use that note. It also does have that Ask AI. I don't know, in fact, if it can ask about everything that you've talked to it about. I hope it will have at least memory across the whole thing. Because what my aim for these types of things is can they be like a memory capture or a second brain, so that you can actually ask it questions of all of your notes. So I've got questions about, do I still use the rabbit? Yes, I do. And I am planning a bit of a comparison between the Plaud, the rabbit, because I use that essentially as a note taker as well. And what I have been using up to this point, which is Otter. And Otter, you certainly can ask it questions about every note that you've taken in the past. And actually, that's really good. So you can actually, on the AI chat in Otter, you can see what I've done in my AI chats here in Otter. I've said, tell me about some ideas that I've asked it. I can't see what more I have, but I have asked it. Yeah, summarize my thoughts about the e-ink smartphone that I have been using. It's actually gone back into the conversations we've had, or gone back into my voice notes, and it's come back and told me you have mixed feelings about the e-ink smartphone you've been testing. And it's sort of summarized and pinned back, linked back to points in my notes in this system where it's remembered everything that I've talked to it about. And I think that's really good. Rabbit can do that as well. And also ChatGPT itself can do that as well. So I don't see there's any reason why Plaud shouldn't do that as well. So fingers crossed, it will do that as well. And I want to make a fuller comparison of those different things. So let me know if you guys are interested in that, or just tell me no, I'm not interested at all. But one other complaint and one other thing I didn't even think about when I bought this, I thought to myself, well, that'll be great. I can wear it like I wear this necklace around my neck, which never ever comes off, lives on my neck, it's been on my neck for 1.5, almost 2 years now. And that I want to just have this on my neck pretty much full time, right? Or ideally something even smaller than that, but yeah, fine. Including like in the shower, when I play sports, all of those things. And my problem with it really is that it's not waterproof. And I just presumed it would be waterproof because so many other small devices, give you an example of one, are fully waterproof now. So this not being fully waterproof actually surprised me. And I thought, okay, I could actually, when I get those shower thoughts, and you know what shower thoughts are, they're thoughts that you have while you're doing something else. Actually, that this could just capture my thoughts in those situations. So no, it can't do that because it's not waterproof. But it also means you can't really rely on it to go out for a run wearing this thing because, well, every time I go for a run, I don't know about you, it seems to rain. So I think actually what they should do, what Plaud should do, is my suggestion to Plaud, because they're a young company, this is their second device. Their first is the AI Note, I don't know if it's called Note Card or it's just called Plaud Note, I think, which I've never seem to get out of its little package. But it lives on the back of your phone, is a really nice device as well. And I got this first, I bought this first. Again, probably not waterproof. I think their next device, they should make a Plaud Note phone. Sorry, pardon me. They should make a Plaud. Their next device they should make should be a Plaud Note watch. And a Plaud Note watch, I think, let's make it a fully mechanical watch. So it doesn't have to have an LCD on it, a big LCD like this. Have just a small LCD, rather like the Withings watch. So it can have an incredibly long battery life, because both of these have nice long battery lives. And have it something which is obviously fully waterproof. It could then integrate things like answering calls. You could integrate Ask AI on your watch already. And of course, it would be fully waterproof as well. So you could use it in any of those situations. And then you'd have some basic smartwatch functionalities like heart rate tracking as well. And I think that then, I just don't understand why, if one of their use cases is like, well, you might want to wear it on your wrist. Why did they not think, I mean, even this, like, it's not that much of a leap to just think, well, I'll put a little screen on this and then it'll be a watch. No, I'm not going to want to wear this as well as a watch, surely. And if I wear it as a watch, then I will want it to be waterproof. So I just think they missed a trick there. I really do. Yeah, I'm going to talk about that in a moment. First name, last name, actually. Yeah. Um, so and I can't see this really as a way to wear it personally, but maybe some of you could. Okay. So if only it were waterproof, really, uh, and it would just be always on your person, and you could just go ahead and sort of, after after playing football, we just go ahead and think, oh, I had that thought, or I can just pretty much, I can pretty much just record that straight away after those things as well. So yeah, Plaud Note Watch, the next thing. Where are we up to though? But I do think the app's a good idea. I do think that the whole concept is a good idea. I just wonder, like the rabbit, could it have been integrated into something we already have? Maybe is it the ideal form factor right now? And yeah, if any other company want to take that idea and make a note watch, then I think that would be a really good idea. So what do you guys think of that anyway? I did think, yeah, like what would the ideal kind of, what would I be carrying if I could have anything at all? And I think what I would carry, if I could have anything at all, would probably be just two main devices. Would be a watch and a phone. I think this is the sort of main thing right now. The phone would be sort of 16 by 9, sort of maybe sort of passport sized, and it would open out to be basically an e-ink book, and that would have a stylus as well. That would be ideal. And then this kind of AI note watch type affair that I've just described, really. I think really I don't need to add anything more to that. This is a clever design. They've added it to the back of your phone like so, but your phone's already got microphones in it. Your watch already has microphones in it, most likely as well. So with the phone that I've just described, you could, this can record your calls, and it uses the vibrations of your phone to record what the speaker on the other end of the phone is saying, as well as your voice through the microphone. So that's incredibly clever. But if you're already making calls through your watch, you just have a switch here, like start listening, it would be listening to your voice and the call as well. So there we are. And I wonder about wearing like smart glasses, and okay, I can see how having earphones basically on your glasses is being quite popular with the Meta Ray-Bans, and having a camera on your face seems to be quite popular. Although you wonder about how that makes other people feel when you're looking at them with that. But yeah, I think wearing something on your face, I'm a little bit less keen on. And already I've got augmented reality, for instance, in the car. I've got a heads-up display in the car, so I don't need to add that. That's one of the most useful situations for that augmented reality would be in driving and showing you things like hazards coming up or traffic information. So I wonder whether augmented reality can just come when we need it. But then those two things, a watch and a phone, would be the two kind of main devices. And that phone to be more like a book for me anyway, and my watch to be my quick audio note taker, AI note taker at any point. So what do you think? Any ideas about those? Just some interesting ones. I'm going to just have one more moment, everybody, and I'll be right back just to look through any comments, and then that's us. Thanks so much for watching. Please do post your comments and your questions in the chat, and I will get to them during the Q&A session at the end of the video or at key points during the video. Don't forget that super chats are available if you want to really highlight those questions to me. Totally no expectation there. If you do want to support the channel monetarily, then that option is also available. I've also added channel memberships as an option because many of you have been generous enough to give super chats in the live streams, and I wanted a way to actually offer something of value in exchange for that kindness. So rather than just buying me a non-alcoholic beverage with a super chat, now you can join me for one with only members straight after every live stream. Okay. So yeah, any last sort of comments and things? What do you think about that whole bit about having all of those things? A couple of questions. Any questions about anything at all as well? And then we'll call it an evening. Do we hear a beeping sound from Remarkable? Yeah, do you know the Remarkable, it doesn't have a beeping sound. It has what they call coil whine, is it? Something like when you turn the page. It's not a beeping, it's just a high-pitched sound, as some electrical component has a EM field around it inside. So there we are. Credit card sized e-ink AI. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, little e-ink screen, an e-ink watch. Yeah. Could be the thing. Absolutely. Where else did I get to? So I've just lost my, I think I skipped around actually. There we are, we're still at the right point. So yeah, we talked about Rabbit as well. My setup, e-reader, recliner, armchair, and tablet holder with remote control, very nice. The only danger is that you get too cozy and start falling asleep instead of reading. Yeah, that's the thing. I think some reading can be designed to put you in that mindset, can't it? And the best thing for falling asleep is reading nonsense, incidentally. It's a really clever thing to do. Absolutely agree, Intro Maxim, yeah. Love the Supernote Nomad. Can't wait for the A5X to come as well. Yeah, yeah, it is. It is really. And that's the thing about aesthetic tech, isn't it? And that is such a nice device to use. I was thinking about what are the nicest devices out there right now. The Remarkable Paper Pro and the Supernote Nomad are just such nice things, aren't they? And yeah, I think as we're getting into gifting season, as we're getting into like gifting season, I think that's what I would really recommend that you look at. If there's if that can fit in someone else's life, because they'll take that out of the box, both of those things, they'll be like, oh, this is a nice thing. Yeah, absolutely. It's just such a nice thing to use. Yeah, cool. Not sure what that was in response to, but yeah, waiting for above 10 inches, I suppose. And Remarkable came out. Yeah, this was the comment that, yeah, I don't want to carry more things. I like how sort of neat and small this is. And I don't, wearing it around your neck is just something you can totally forget. And I really like that idea. It's like it's like a little memory capsule, isn't it? They're talking about it like, and I do think that, it's when I saw it, I wouldn't wear it sort of clipped to my lapel. I wouldn't wear it on my wrist, I don't think. But just, yeah, having it on my person around my neck, it was quite nice today. Just as sort of those thoughts about what I wanted to say this evening occurred to me, I just tapped it, it buzzed, it sat under there and I talked. Might have looked a bit weird walking around talking to myself, but I'm not beyond looking weird. I love your sarcasm this evening, your skepticism, Fazal. Yeah, absolutely. I used to carry around little notebooks all the time. I used to be like pathologically like afraid of just not having something to write down a thought that came across my mind. And that's the thing. I kind of, maybe I'm a little bit too obsessed with like every sort of thought that I have, thinking how can I turn that into a piece of content? How can I, that's a useful idea that I've just had. I don't want to lose that idea. That's the type of thing I'm talking about. But like I don't know whether it's not everybody who's like that, but it's real, like intended use case is more about recording meetings. So you get the transcription from the meetings, and then you can go ahead and turn that into actions. You can turn that very quickly into minutes, anything like that. One thing that was interesting, my colleague was saying about meetings, is actually making minutes is not just a matter of recording everything that was said. And of course, this thing records everything that's said. And once you've made that digital recording, then everything that's said is now a matter of record. And that's not necessarily what you want in a meeting. But you want in minutes of meetings, you want the actual things that are agreed. You don't want the sarcastic comment that somebody made. You don't want the kind of off the cuff, like jokey comment, because it could be taken totally out of context. So somebody who's very good at making minutes is also good for listening to the things that somebody's trying to make a point here and they want that recorded. Somebody's just trying to make somebody else laugh. They don't need that recorded. That's the type of thing. So it's an interesting point there as well. Do I think e-ink will replace notebooks and textbooks and tools? That's a really good question. It certainly won't until it's cheaper, and that's why I think that it's great that Kindle are involved in the e-notebook sector, because they should eventually make things cheaper for everybody. I don't know. I don't know whether young people need e-ink as much as the sort of slightly older people, but e-paper, more paper-like screens certainly will eventually, and as they get thinner and things like that, I think they certainly will be. We'll see. definitely like you to ask unrelated questions. E-ink notebook only for note taking. Viwoods quite good, but again, I think only note taking. I would stick in the world of Supernote or Remarkable. It's just notes, and you don't need the notes to do anything else. Look at Supernote or Remarkable. I think they're the two best note takers. Just ask yourself, how much functionality do you need? And if you need more functionality and you need to install other apps, then go for one that's got the Google Play Store. Look at the Boox, I think. So my top 10s are definitely your friend there, my man. I wanted to go for the light phone, but I was wanting to take notes on it, but it doesn't use the e-ink screen as a writable device. No, I don't think that many e-ink screens below 7.8 come with the Wacom EMR layer. So there are note takers that are 7-inch in size, but none smaller. That's what I'm saying. That's why I can imagine a foldable phone, 16:9 screen on the front, open it out, so it's passport sized, open it out, nice little notebook, like a little A6 notepad, delightful thing, e-ink on the middle. 100 plus, go for the 100 plus, go 10.3 devices sold in Amazon UK, which shows, I think, yeah, there's loads, absolutely. It must be more than that. I'm sure it's more than 100. Not, but yeah, I suppose the UK is a smaller market, isn't it? And that's just on Amazon as well. There's loads sold through their website as well. Yeah, it'd be nice to, yeah, I think that jotting down your ideas, absolutely. That's what we're talking about here, and that's why I like the Plaud. That's the reason I bought the Rabbit, was to be my little note taker, you know, my little voice notes note taker. But in fact, it's just that's too big an extra. Excuse me, that's too big an extra thing to carry, really. And it's got its flaws. It's got a lot of flaws there as well. So we will see. Thank you so much for joining, Faisal. You're very, very welcome. Do have a look through my members only content, and I've already got this stream was all about the Penstar, and I've already got some members testing footage that you can go and enjoy there, seeing me really get to grips in full 4K with it. And let me know. And the thing about being a member is you get to join and you get to add to the content, and you get to contribute more to everything that I'm talking about and looking at as I develop this channel and talk about more things. And one of them will be this whole AI note-taking thing, this whole second brain idea. Okay. Thank you so much to you all for spending the time with me this evening. I will see you all really soon.